Hi, I'm Tor from Leprous, and you're listening to ROCKFILE Radio.
Scott Hamilton with ROCKFILE Radio. Very, very excited to be at Revolution Live in Fort Lauderdale tonight because one of my favorite bands, this is a personal favorite band, Leprous is in town. They're playing with some other great bands. You've got to get down to Revolution. And I'm sitting here with Tor, the guitar player, original member. He's a founding member and songwriter, and I'll let you explain everything else. But, you know, I'm a silly American, can't pronounce your last name. Please.
Well, I'm Tor. My last name is actually German, so so for me to pronounce it in Norwegian, I think I pronounced it wrong myself. I say Surke, but I think it's like Suhrke or something like that.
Okay, well, now we know.
Yeah, yeah. And also my name, like Tor, is also a bit. It's like in Norwegian, it's Tor. Tor. Yeah.
Tor.
Okay, yeah, you're pronouncing it just as Dusty from Between the Bird and Me does. Yeah, he says it every time he walks past me. Tor.
Well, Leprous formed in 2001. I think I discovered you guys about 2009. What did you do? There's not a whole lot written about what you guys did before. You know, you worked with a metal legend. You were kind of a backing band, but musical training, where'd you come from?
Yeah, I mean, in 2001 when we started, I was 15. So I just like picked up my first guitar like half a year before. So I was just starting to play, and Einar, who is the other founding member of the current lineup, he was already in this like punk band. We were just kids, so we're like this was his first band, and I just started to play, and he was like, hey, maybe you want to join this band. And then we kind of changed a bit the direction of what we were playing, and then we renamed the band Leprous. And that's kind of why we're saying like this is like when we founded Leprous, kind of. So from then on, you can probably imagine how it is when you're 15, just started to play, kind of aiming a bit too high when it comes to your abilities, but we just started right away to write our own songs, which were pretty much all over the place. And then we were like, it was kind of like a hobby to begin with, but we never really set ourselves kind of a goal or anything. We never planned to not play in a band. So we just kept on going. And 2004, we recorded our first like EP, 3 songs. This was like a prog. We were like, at that point, we were starting to go like more into the proggy. We started more like the metal band, and then a bit more proggy, which of course meant that all songs needed to be really long. So the EP was
complicated.
Yeah, of course. So it was almost like half an hour, the EP, even though it was only 3 songs. Yeah. So that's Silent Waters, which it was the first EP, and then in 2006 we made our first like full-length album called Eolia, which we sent it around to some labels, and then after a while we got some feedback of someone that wanted to release it. But at that time we had already kind of made the material for our next album. And we weren't really, I mean, we thought like Eolia was more like a demo kind of thing, even though it was a full album. And so our plan was to just record it again. But then we didn't want to do that since we already had a new album. And then, so then we just recorded that instead, and we released Tall Poppy Syndrome in 2009. Was that when you said that you...
Yeah. A buddy of mine said, you really need to hear these guys.
Yeah. And from 2009, we recorded a new album every second year. So in 2011, we released Bilateral. 2013, we released Coal. 2015, we released The Congregation. 2016, we had a live album based on like, all the albums up until that point, except Tall Pop Syndrome. And then, we released Malina last year, 2017. That's the latest album.
And you can chart a serious evolution in your music. Each album you guys, well, I guess from the sound of it, you grew not just with your musicianship and your chops, but your songwriting just it seems like you're not trying to top yourselves, you're trying to evolve yourselves.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, every second year every process you're in one album cycle, it's kind of, okay, you make songs, you record it, you play it live, and the last years we played very much, like we've been touring a lot. And by doing all those things, you learn a lot every time. And then when you start then to make new songs.
You can apply that.
Yeah, because then you kind of it would fall natural. I mean, it comes natural to us to kind of having evolved from the last time, because I mean the last 2 years a lot of things has happened, and just like recording an album you discover so many things. So and we kind of like we like the fact that we are evolving and we want to evolve, but we don't like deliberately like force ourselves to do something if we don't feel it's true to us or it comes natural to us.
Like the recording of this album, I read, was you wanted it to be spontaneous. You wanted to capture those sounds as you recorded them instead of later in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, that was of course like more of a deliberate thing, but that also came as a result of the fact that since the last studio album we did a live recording, and by doing the live recording, I mean, the albums has been like very like we made them in the studio, like recording everything in layers, like one instrument at a time. But then on the live recording, we realized that when we played together, it could actually sound pretty good as well, because we played so much live, and especially those songs that we played so many times on like several tours. So many people were like, actually, the live recording of this song sounds better than the studio recording. And at least like I would say it definitely sounds different, because it kind of, as you said, it captures the small, like faulty kind of
that rawness, that liveness.
Yeah, and like the organic. So what we were aiming for was a more organic sound on this album, and so that's why we wanted to like record a bit more live in the studio. We didn't record it together this time either, but we recorded a whole lot more in the studio, not necessarily having everything prepared before getting in the studio and just like reamping. But yeah, so making an effort into like getting the what kind of gives the sound a more natural feel, and also we turned down a lot of like things that we may have done in the past that kind of also camouflages a bit of the noise in the recordings. Like we turned down the gain on the guitars, which kind of also as a guitarist it's a lot more difficult, because you kind of have to play. I mean, by turning up the gain, you can kind of cover up small errors. It kind of, in a way, it's difficult to explain, but you kind of feel it's a more honest sound when you have less gain, because you hear more of the direct sound from the instrument. And I think it's kind of a challenge, but it's also a very interesting thing to do, and I'm pretty sure we'll do more of that in the future as well.
Well, that was going to be the question. Obviously, playing live affected how you recorded. Has that kind of bounced back into how you guys play that music live?
Well, yeah. I mean, especially to me, it's. I mean, when we recorded Malina, we wanted to have a lot of those sounds live as well. So what's definitely has been an impact on our live set is what kind of like instruments or like what kind of pickups I use on my guitar to kind of get this specific tone. Before I wasn't really that like nuanced when it came to the sound. I kind of found the sound that I thought, hey, this is cool, and then kind of just played, not varying that much between like different parts and everything. But also now we have a new guitarist, Robin, and he, I mean, a lot of the things that he recorded on the album, I mean, he recorded some things, I recorded some other things, and when we played live, maybe we want to double whatever he recorded, and so I kind of have to try to find the sound he has, and that's also kind of given me a reason to progress as a guitarist, and especially with my sound. And and with my guitars, I use Aristides guitars, which is a Dutch company, which make their guitars out of like their own material called Arium. And
they're very cool looking.
Yeah, they're really cool, and they sound great. And the thing that I like so much about them is they they give me the option because I use a lot the coil split on those guitars, so I can kind of switch between having single coils and humbuckers.
There's a lot of customizing you can do.
Yeah, a lot of customizing, and that I could do while like playing, like from one riff to another. I can like change and kind of try to copy because Robin is playing with the Strat, and that's got a very unique sound, and he also uses a Telecaster, which is like
It's a very classic sound.
and like a twangy sound, and I'm trying to like kind of to copy the sounds he has, but with my Aristides guitars instead, and it works really well, and I think it fills out very well together as well.
And complements each other.
Yeah, it really definitely complements each other.
Now, you guys have been very visual in the live show and in videos. I mean, when I met you here tonight, I remember seeing you in the shower in the Restless videos. So how much of that was you guys? Because you've done some crazy things. You've had everything from, showering with a fish to ballet dancers to some violence to some drama. How much do you guys get involved in the creative process behind those?
Well, very much, I would say.
So the shower was your idea.
Well, actually, to be honest, I suggested, hey, maybe one of us could, because, and then of course, since I was the one suggesting it, yeah, well, why don't you do it? Because then, okay, I guess.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. I mean, the thing around that time, the bilateral time, it was a lot about being kind of like surrealistic, but I mean, still giving it an expression, but giving people the opportunity to kind of interpret whatever you see on their own, but kind of like just add to the music some like imagery and some like cool things happening, and like wanting people to wonder what on earth is,
right?
What did I just see? So we're like trying to have like 5 stories of people doing just some strange things. I don't really... I mean, yeah, to just simplify a lot the process of doing this. But I remember we were just like brainstorming, like, okay, what kind of things could be like cool visual to do in this video? And like
coming out of the swamp.
Yeah. I mean, coming out of the swamp, eating this bug.
Yeah.
My dad serving it on a silver plate.
Your dad,
actually. And we're in my apartment, actually. It took a while to get the fish smell out of the shower and the scales. But yeah, it's like the bass player, he juices a shrimp sandwich. Yeah, no, I mean... yeah, so we were kind of like a big part of that process, actually.
But with all the videos.
Yeah, I mean, with most... we also like collaborated a lot with actually the ones that made the first video is this company of a friend of ours called Twitchy Films. They made the video for Restless and The Cloak. That was kind of also our idea to like be somewhere like very desolated, so we kind of rented this abandoned mine in Norway, which everything is like filmed there. But of course, I mean the editing and everything is kind of it's produced and edited, and a lot of the ideas is kind of like adapted from the first discussion we had with the Twitchy Films, right. And they also like of course had a lot of ideas to what we would do. So I would say it's like the band and then Twitchy Films that kind of collaborated. But on the last album though, we decided to go with, we wanted to try to have like several music videos, just to see kind of the impact that would make. And the first video from The Flame, that was also made by Twitchy Films. But then we just wanted to try to like see which other options we had. So so we used Costin, our visual designer, which makes a lot of our videos that we like visuals we use on stage. We used him to make the video for Illuminate. A lot of it was like filmed in Romania. Actually, I think everything was filmed in Romania because we played in Romania, so we did all the footage there in the on the festival we did there. And he's Romanian. And the last video for Stuck was also with another guy that Bård, our drummer, knew. So just to see some different ways. So, and just because, as you said, I mean, we've been a big part of it, and we're not really like film creators. We realize, so
But you have ideas.
yeah, we have a lot of ideas, but it's kind of nice to like just to vary it a little bit, and also to have like the same evolution in our music videos as we have in our music, to just try different things, not necessarily always go with the same process every time.
So live show now, you did a big live video. It looked like an epic production. How do you scale down those ideas for like you're an opening act tonight? So how do you get that show onto the stage?
Yeah, well, I mean, we did a big headliner tour in Europe in the fall with Malina. We also did like a tour in Australia and Japan now earlier this year. But to kind of scale it down to an opening act, I mean, we brought Raphael, Weinroth Brown on cello, which is also
Which takes up a lot of space on stage.
takes a lot of space on stage, definitely. But that's it's definitely worth it. I mean, he adds a lot to the live expression, and when you say like how do we kind of adapt our new attempt to like be more organic in the studio to our live setting, definitely by bringing him it adds a lot. I mean, just the cello and the vulnerability about sound, it's just it's really an amazing addition, I think, to the live set. So, and that's actually something we didn't have on the live album, so that's kind of actually
Another evolution.
Yeah, an upscale from the live album to our now the support tour we have now. And also, I mean, what we're kind of scaling down is kind of both because of the space we have on stage and the amount of time we have to set up and pack down, and also of course like a budget thing. It's kind of like we don't bring as much lights as we do on our headliner tours, but we use our screens, we have our visual things, we have our like podiums, so we kind of have a landscape on stage where you can kind of move around. We don't really like we don't synchronize, we don't plan what we will do, like how we will move or whatever we'll do. We kind of just do that as it goes on stage. So it's just nice to have some space to move on, I guess.
Yeah, because it's pretty limited landscape when you're the first guy.
Kind of. But still, I think it's a lot better than I would kind of have feared. I didn't think we could. I wasn't sure if we could bring our screens or if we could bring our podiums or if we would just be like stuck in this really small space. But and the tour has been really great so far. It's really nice to see the fact that there's a lot of people meeting up. Like from the doors open, which kind of makes it all worth it for us, because kind of the point for us to do a support tour in the States is of course to build our
to get noticed.
Yeah, to get noticed and to build our audience here in the States, because we love touring in the States. And I mean, we did 2 headliner tours before ever doing a support tour actually in the States, which is pretty strange. But now when we got the offer to go on tour with Between the Bird and Me, because we did the tour with them a year ago with Devin Townsend and them in Europe, and found out that they were really awesome guys, and we got so well along with them. So
you're hitting some places you don't normally hit.
Yeah, like Florida. I've never been to Florida. So
welcome.
Thank you very much.
During spring break.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a lot about it. Let's see.
Well, you were going to take a jog down to the beach, but we had an interview to do. And
yeah. So maybe you saved me from some intense moments down at the beach.
Well, this being a concert that's happening not far from the beach, it could be a little intense tonight in the venue. So who knows? Yeah,
I mean, last night in Orlando, we're like in the middle of the like the bar drinking district. So it was pretty intense there. Our driver tried to sleep in the bandwagon outside, but he couldn't sleep for a moment. No.
So what is next for Leprous?
Well, the next is to just continue, finish this tour, of course. Then we have a lot of summer festivals in the fall. There's nothing official yet, so there's nothing I could say. But
keep your eyes and ears open.
Keep your eyes and ears open, and maybe you'll see something you like. Yeah.
Now, I have to ask, as a fan of your music, as a radio guy, as a lifelong music head, I can usually get where something's coming from when I listen to a song or an album. I get the perspective or the musicality or whatever. Sometimes you guys come from, I don't know if it's because you're from Norway or whatever, but whether it's a vocal melody or a certain way you present the song, you guys seem to come from otherworldly places. Where do you get your inspiration?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, first of all, I would have to say that I mean, on the latest albums now, it's been mainly Einar doing the compositional work. He's by far the main composer. Like 95% of what's been on the last two albums, he's made when it comes to like like all the compositions and the vocal lines and the hook lines. It's kind of
you guys nail the hooks on the new album. I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with you because I didn't really make it myself, so I can kind of I totally agree.
But really,
yeah. I mean, yeah. As I said, Einar, I guess is the guy you should ask. Maybe he's out of this world.
Well, his wife flew in today to let everybody know. We met him outside, but he's busy.
Yeah, he's been busy today. Yeah. Which I kind of understand.
It's totally understandable, and she picked the right place to meet the tour.
Yeah, definitely. I showed my wife the pictures from. Just did a walk by the riverside, like the river walk, and she was kind of dreading that she didn't come. It's like it's Easter now in Norway, and it's
1.5 meters of snow,
and like minus 15 degrees or something Celsius. So yeah, it's pretty cold there. I think she would have enjoyed being here, definitely.
Well, we'll send the show out to her tonight. I'm going to get this video or this audio on the radio, and let's get some bodies in the Revolution Live for tonight's show in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time as well, showing the interest, and for bringing us to Florida. We really hope to be able to come back the next time we're on tour here.
Please.
Thanks.